back, guys. Welcome back to Days of Darkness, CoronaMania, Part 3, with Train to Busan here today. Now, before we get into this review, quick little apology. A little longer of a wait in between videos for me than usual, because not only is CoronaMania running wild here on Days of Darkness, it's running wild all over the world, baby. Because of that, I've been very swamped at work. I work at a grocery store, and so I've gotten a front row seat to the absolute shitstorm that is going on right now. So just stay safe, stay healthy, take care of each other, support your local medical workers and all essential workers, whether they truly be essential or not, but that is another story for another time. But anyways, so we're going to talk about this today. Train to Busan, in my opinion, just right out of the gate here, I think this is the best zombie film of the 2010s. Easily. That's a bold statement because there were some really, really good ones. But in my opinion, I just think this is a beautifully crafted film made by some incredible people. I will list off 4 of those names now. Now, this is obviously a South Korean horror film, so I will butcher their names. Apologies in advance. But this is starring Gong Yoo, Kim Soo-an, Ma Dong-seok, and was directed by... It was not directed by... It was directed by Yihon Sang-ho. Very, very beautiful job, guys, and I am very sorry for butchering your names. So just to get into the little spoiler-free section here, if you need a recommendation, absolutely, go watch this. What I really, really like about this film and why I'm so happy to have this film in my collection is, obviously, if you haven't gathered, horror is my favorite genre of film. And it's not just because I like seeing, blood and boobs and all that shit, and, all that's great, but I truly do admire the art of it, the art of scaring people, and I think that when you bring a cast and crew of filmmakers together, you can make some amazing stuff. I studied film in college, and so... before getting my degree, I would go in all these film classes, and I remember distinctly, it wasn't this shirt, but I was repping my favorite slasher ever, Mr. Jason Voorhees. I can't remember what shirt it was exactly. I'm sure I'll wear it on the channel eventually, but yeah, I have too many to count. But anyways, so I was wearing one of those shirts, and I just got a look from somebody. They're just like, and I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck are you looking at, dude? And he goes, I mean, you're in a film class, man. Don't, what is that? I'm like, I mean, I like horror movies, so I wanted to wear this shirt. And he goes, well, it's not really, film. For some reason, in this day of age, we still have people like that, I don't even know what to say. I'm gonna bite my tongue, because people like that really piss me off. But, so, it's just, I'm at a loss for words even now thinking about it. But, if you've ever run into someone like this, there are countless films that I can give as an example as to why those people are wrong. The Exorcist, Ari Aster's work. Let me just look over here real quick. The Thing, any of John Carpenter's stuff. There's just too many to count. 2012's Maniac. There's so many. It's appalling why someone would think that, but Nonetheless, and this is another one that you can show them, because what you get here is you get amazing, deep, interesting, emotionally driven, very investing characters, and you put all of these people who are already going through real life struggles, real life issues, and you put these people on a train and you put them in the middle of an absolute shitstorm in the form of a zombie apocalypse. Hence, Train to Busan. So, to reiterate, the wrap up the spoiler-free section, absolutely go watch this movie, guys. It is incredible. 5 stars. I really don't have. I typically like to. I want to start introducing like more flaws into my reviews and stuff I didn't like too much, and I've already done that a little bit. But honest to God, guys, I think there might be one issue with this that I have, and it's a very, very, very minor thing, and it doesn't really detract from the film. This film is nearly perfect. So absolutely, I'm gonna stop rambling and we'll get to the spoiler section. But guys, please, please, please watch Train to Busan. If you haven't seen it, don't wait for me to spoil the shit out of it for you. Please go watch it right now, and we are going to get into the spoiler section. All right, spoiler time. So, as I've said before, this movie is very emotionally invested, and emotionally investing, and that's probably most apparent in the main relationship between the father and the daughter. I would say the two main characters of this whole thing. Um, right off the jump, before shit even hits the fan, you can tell that their relationship is extremely strained. He's just very emotionally distant. He works all the time. He's going through a divorce. Lots of real shit that a lot of people could relate to. He's just not a very present father, and that has caused their relationship to suffer greatly. And so when shit does hit the fan, he is probably the main thing that I feel like people will get annoyed with this character with. As far as from a character, not from a writing perspective, this character is written beautifully. I am saying, like, when you're emotionally invested in someone and then they just keep, making the wrong decisions, and they keep, just doing the shit you don't like to see. This guy is very selfish. He's all about protecting him and his daughter, and that's it. When the zombies start eating people and freaking out and running around and everyone's losing their minds, when all this hits, he is strictly just trying to protect him and his daughter. And again, that's very relatable. I don't have children myself. The most I could personally relate to that are my nephews. I love my nephews very dearly. They are very, very important to me. And if something like this were to happen and I were in charge of protecting them for whatever reason, you're damn right. It's me and them, and that's it. And I don't think, sure, that's a selfish move, but anyone who's a parent who's watching this can see why he would think that, and myself included. Really anybody who I care about or I consider family. They're my number one, so I totally understand that. However, his daughter does not get it. There are multiple times where he could be helping somebody in this film, and he doesn't. And he even tells her when she tries to help people, he's like, hey, don't risk your ass for people you don't even know. Like, just, it's okay to be selfish, is essentially what he's saying, and she's combating him constantly and saying, all you care about is yourself. And that hits home for him. She calls him out pretty early on, and just says, all you care about is yourself. You don't care about anybody else but you. And that's a shifting point for that character, and he kind of understands. He's like, whoa, like, my daughter doesn't think I'm a good person. And that eats at you, If anyone you care about and love very dearly tells you, you're a fucking asshole, dude. Like, daughter, son, friend, mom, dad, whoever. If someone tells you that, it's gonna fuck you up. people, any Joe Schmo on the street calls you an asshole, well, whatever, fuck you. But when it's someone you really do care about, it messes with you, and it really messes with this guy. And you slowly start to see him become more of a selfless person, and by the end, he's completely selfless. And we'll get to that with my kill of the movie. It's a spoiler section. People, get over it. I think you know where I'm going with this. But the evolution of that character and how his daughter impacts him and that whole relationship is, mwah, it's beautiful. It's incredible. It's my favorite part of the movie. And we're talking about a movie with zombies and blood and guts, so that's saying something. And you would think, with a lot of movies, you would think, okay, it stops there, and then the side characters are just the side characters, whatever, A little Sipsky, shout out to the Good Brothers. You would think that's where it ends as far as the beautiful character work, but it doesn't. There are countless side characters who are incredibly developed. There is a married couple who the wife is expecting a child, and the husband is a complete badass. He is easily, like, I obviously really enjoy the main character. He's very compelling, and I mean, everyone in this movie is well written, but his story and his arc are very investing. However, I think this guy's my favorite character of the film. He's just a badass. He's just, he's, how many characters in movies just straight up punch zombies in the face? Like you just don't see it. This dude is constantly like it's one thing to shoot a zombie in the head or cut a zombie's head in half or whatever, but to just straight up have enough balls to just go up to a zombie and like he's so cool. I could gush about that character forever, but he's great. He's also very funny. The banter with him and his wife throughout the movie is very, very, very entertaining. And he's just all around, he's a very, very entertaining character. And on the flip side of that, you have this old man, this old businessman who, I guess you'd call him a businessman. It's never really, well, no, he's, I know he says what his job is in the movie, but it flies by so quick. Basically, this dude's, I'm just going to call him a businessman, because it is something akin to that. If I am wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments, because my memory is not serving me well on that. But anyways, complete dick. Complete asshole. Just and it's very rare for me to actually, like, viscerally hate a character in a film, because, I studied this shit. I get it. They're characters, they're being portrayed by an actor, but it's like, this movie is so emotionally investing when you see some of the shit this guy does in this movie. And I know this is spoiler free, or I know this is the spoiler section of the video, but I'm going to leave that up to you to watch it if for some reason you're still watching this without watching the movie. Some of the shit he does in this really makes you hate him. And even at the end, this damn movie, man, even at the end, when, he ends up becoming a zombie, by the very end, which we will get more into all of that, but he says, I need to get to my mom in Busan, like, as he's turning into a zombie. This movie even makes you feel a little, I mean, not a whole lot, but it even makes you feel a little, a little something for him. You're like, God, dude, like, everyone's going through some shit in this. Like, and that kind of, explains why he is such a prick. Because he just wants to get back to his mother in Busan. But man, that guy's an asshole. It doesn't totally redeem him. He's still a piece of shit. But yeah, man, as previously mentioned, I kind of gloss over this about the badass who's expecting a kid. Unfortunately, he does not make it. There is a very, very, probably the most tense scene of the movie, which that's saying a lot in this. he ends up. It's him, the softball kid or the baseball kid who I will get to in a second, and the main guy, the dad, and they're all they are all they have to get to the bathroom because they have to. So this train, obviously, it's a train, so it's separated by cars, and they're all linked up, and you know how a fucking train works. So they have to fight through all of these zombies because the daughter, the mother to be, and I believe someone else. Can't remember who. Oh, Jinhee, who's she's that's the only character's name I can fucking remember. Which, by the way, interesting. Some of these characters just don't get named, and it's very weird because a lot of them are pretty prominent, and if they are named, it's just quick, and you don't even I didn't even catch the main guy's name, as I'm sure you've already noticed from me not saying it. But I remembered her name, so it's basically the three damsels in distress, essentially, and the daughter. So it's the daughter, the mom, the bee, and the girlfriend of the baseball kid. And yeah, they're all trapped in the. God, I'm spending a lot longer on this than I would like. But anyways, they're trapped and they have to fight through all of them, and eventually they get to the main car, and they're just not. They're not like the other people in the head of the train aren't letting them in because they think that asshole has convinced everybody that they're infected. And so they're not letting them in, and this badass is literally having to hold the door. It's him and the main guy, and they're both holding the door, and it's getting to be a lot, and the zombies are starting to crack the plexiglass and all that shit. And the dude, in the most badass fashion, he says, "Just go, just run away now. You gotta go. You got a daughter and all that shit." And before he goes, he goes, "Just take care of my wife and take care of my kid. All right? Can you do that?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, "I'm sorry." And then he runs, and it's yeah, I might have teared up a little bit. But anyway, so this dude just backs up, lets the zombies come in, and you just get one of the coolest scenes. Reminds me a lot of Tallahassee in the ending of Zombieland, where he's just shooting all these zombies and having a grand old time. It's like that, except he has no guns, and he's just knocking the shit out of all these zombies and holding them back, and inevitably they do end up biting the shit out of him, and he does turn, and very sad, but it kind of represents again another shift in the main character, which is an interesting point I will get to in a second. But yeah, and there's a lot of other very interesting characters that do play a lot into the main character's development. Like I said, the badass father-to-be, the fucking dickhead businessman, and a hobo who is just by nature very unselfish. He's constantly putting himself in danger for others. And those three, it's very interesting on this watch back. I didn't notice it the first time I watched it. It was years ago, probably 2018. So I didn't notice this the first time, but the second time, these three characters, the badass father-to-be, the dickhead, and the hobo, the very unselfish, heroic hobo, they all kind of represent all of the different personalities that are just battling inside this central character, which is very interesting, and it's a very subtle thing that, I mean, it's not just straight up spoon-fed the audiences that's what these characters are there for, but it's very evident if you're paying attention, and it's a very cool element to this film that I really picked up on in this second watch. And eventually, he does end up, what am I looking for? He does end up, at the very end, letting his selfless side come out. Selfless side come out. And is a hero by the end of it. And yeah, and other than that, you have the I guess, and this is my one flaw that I was talking about before. Um, the young couple in this movie, they're great characters. Nothing wrong with them as people, but it's very weird because when they're introduced on screen, um, he's very standoffish to her, and he's very like, "Meh." And he doesn't even acknowledge her as his girlfriend. He's just like, go find somewhere else to sit. Like, why are you? And then all of his teammates are egging him on, saying like, "Oh, date her, dude, accept her," and all this. And they even start chanting like, accept her," and like it seems like he doesn't even want anything to do with this chick. And by the next scene, they're like all over each other. But other than that, that's really the only like character flaw I can even think of in this. And maybe there was just something that I just didn't pick up on, but from what I saw, and I was obviously paying attention, it's just kind of, But but anyways, so like I said, great characters. Now let's talk about the fucking zombies. Holy shit. These dudes are scary. I don't know what it is about them, but like the way, first of all, shout out to the people portraying these zombies. I don't think people give those guys enough credit. Holy shit, there are some in this that like spooked me, and I am very, 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 very uh hard to spook. Oh my god, just the way they're like, I don't even want to make an ass out of myself and try to attempt to do it, but they're just constantly like, just jerking around and shit, and they're just very, very rabid. That's the word I would use to describe these zombies, is very rabid and very vicious. This movie isn't overly bloody, but I mean, obviously there is a lot of blood in it, but this movie very much so relies on the terror of the zombies themselves, and holy shit, do they do a good job of it. There's even something that's interesting is they run as well, and it's very interesting. I just noticed 3 of the 4 zombie movies that I picked for CoronaMania are all contain running zombies. And I think the unanimous view is, oh, I prefer slow zombies and very lumbering, and obviously all love and praise to those type of zombies. Very innovative. If they had to walk before they could run, as I would like to say. But I don't know, man. I mean, I like all 4 of these movies. I might have a little bit of a bias towards running zombies. Who knows? They're both all, obviously both types are very beautiful and unique. And you're like, what the hell, this guy's calling zombies beautiful? Yes. Fuck you. But anyways, but no, the zombies in this kick ass. One thing that was very interesting to me was the fact that in the very beginning, the very first sign of infection is in the form of a deer. This guy hits a deer. This is like in the first 7 minutes of the film. He hits a deer, and he's like, oh, well, shit. No, it's just a deer, whatever. And then he fucking drives off. And this deer, you see him, and there's this beautiful wide shot. And he just starts kind of like twitching around, and then the way he gets up, or she, it's probably, it didn't have antlers, so it's probably a doe, actually. But the way she gets up is very, like, unnatural looking, and then you see him, or her, with these white, just piercing white eyes, and she's all kind of fucked up, and, like, scarred, obviously. She just got hit by a truck. But yeah, so that's your first evidence of a zombie apocalypse, and it's an animal. It kind of makes me wish, again, I would not change a single thing about this movie, but it's interesting. In the sequel to this, which is coming out, which I am very, very, very excited for, and I hope it comes out very soon. So I really hope this coronavirus will just fuck off, so I can get Peninsula, Train to Busan Part 2. That is the official title, though, is Peninsula. I really hope they experiment more with, like, zombie animals. I think that concept is very, very frightening. I don't think they'll go too corny with it. Like, I don't want a bear or something, but just see, like, a dog or just something interesting like that. I really like the Resident Evil franchise. Very corny and, along the line, it just gets downright stupid, but I really like how they use animals and they utilize that. It's like a whole different, monster, literally. But anyway, so that's pretty much it. Let's just get to the kill of the movie. Now, typically with kills of the movies, whatever. Typically with this segment, I go for like, what's the most fucking brutal looking kill? What's the most memorable? Like, like I said, all the way back in review number 1, High Tension, where she just completely takes off this dude's head with a dresser, is like so brutal, and I really like that type of stuff. But like I said before, this is not an overly gory, bloody movie. So the kill of the film for me is gonna be the main homie right here, the dad, who does end up dying at the end. Basically what happens is that dickhead who I was talking about earlier does become a zombie. They end up having a little brawl. Not a brawl necessarily, but he's just trying to keep him away. And he gets pretty close to biting the daughter, and he ends up, just willingly, he literally puts his hand in the zombie's mouth and just lets him bite down to just kind of maneuver him and get him the fuck off the train, because they're like out on the railing of the train and stuff like that. Very, very cool scene. But yeah, he ends up tossing the now zombified dickhead off the single car of this, because the train that they were in before got completely fucked up. But he basically shoves those two in the front of the train and just locks the door, and he's like, I can't risk myself killing my daughter. Zombie or not, I can't do that. And so it's extremely sad. That's why it's the kill of the movie for me. It's not really a kill, it's way more gradual, but I guess I would call it the death of the film, but for the sake of consistency. But yeah, and so he ends up just kind of going to the back, and he's starting to get all fucked up, and his eyes are turning white, and he starts seeing visions of his daughter being born. That was a little heavy-handed. I'm like, oh, I get it. It's like the most important thing to him is flashing before his eyes before he dies. I get it, but I'm like, you made me cry, Train to Busan. You didn't have to fucking do that, but you did it. And I don't hate you for it. I love you for it. But come on, man. Seriously? But yeah, I am not ashamed to admit. Even on second viewing, typically with movies that I like cry during, I can like, I'll get my tears out the first one, and then like the second go around, I'm like, whatever. This one, I knew it was coming, and I was still like, like fucking, come on. Maybe not that heavy, but there was definitely some waterworks going on. But anyways, so that'll do it. Train to Busan. Mwah. Excellent film. Absolutely check it out when you can. That leads me... Oh, where did I put the fucking thing? There we go. Come here. You can tell I was very prepared. So yeah, Train to Busan. Absolutely. Check it out. Next time on Days of Darkness, the fourth and final part of CoronaMania is going to be what is personally my favorite zombie film of all time, and I will get into all the juicy and gory details. Next time we are looking at George A. Romero's, if I can get that glare off there, that'd be awesome. George A. Romero's Day of the Dead. Alright guys, have an awesome rest of your day. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Fuck coronavirus. And have an awesome day.